What's up, you guys? Nick here, and today I felt like we needed to be honest with ourselves and address a big question. Are birders creepy? Now, I actually had never even thought about this question. I thought, well, that makes no sense at all. Birders are just nature-loving biology folk. Who doesn't like those guys? And then I came across this article. It was published on the Washington Post, and apparently there was this empirical study of what creepiness is. And they took a sample size of about 1,300 people and assessed what they found to be the most creepy, and birdwatching actually came really high on the list. Initially, I was kind of insulted. I was like, oh my gosh, people have been thinking I'm a creep this whole time. And then I started to read a little further and think about it more, and it didn't seem that out of reach. Now, I should say before I get into it that there were definitely some faults with this study. It wasn't the largest there could have ever been. It's only 1,300 people. It reports that the sample size was skewed more predominantly towards white females, and I'm certain that that has influenced the perception of what things are creepy. I was a little surprised by some of the characteristics that were most associated with creepiness. Those characteristics included greasy hair, being extremely thin, but also watching people before interacting with them. And it was really that last one that struck me, because obviously, yes, this is a very creepy characteristic. Who would just stare at someone before they were ever talking to them? And then I thought about the ever so iconic birders' binoculars, and that's really closely associated with almost, at times, maybe a perverted spying, but also just this watchful noticing that could be associated as being really creepy. I was thinking about images of binoculars being creepy, and it's a little silly, but I was actually drawn all the way back to the 2007 film Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf. I just remember that the case of the DVD was just him, his binoculars, looking out the window, and it's certainly sort of a creepy aspect. There have been times where I've been birding out my own window, maybe in my own backyard, with binoculars, thinking, boy, I really hope no one looks at me right now. It's gonna look like I'm a total creep. Now, what do we do about this? Is it possible to take bird watching from totally creepy to absolutely normal? Well, it probably won't happen overnight, but I think there are certainly a couple techniques that we can utilize to begin to push that needle in the right direction. And really, the biggest thing is just letting people know what you're doing. I've started doing this the last couple times. I've been out birding since reading this article, and it's been tough because myself and I think a lot of other individuals who enjoy birding or bird watching do it as an escape from society. You need a minute where things are more quiet and you can focus on some sort of an outside subject that doesn't deal with the minutia of day-to-day life. To have to stop what you're doing, speak up, possibly scare some birds, and explain, hey, I'm bird watching, maybe I noticed this particular bird, would you be interested in looking at it too? And normalizing the experience would certainly help to divert some of that creepiness. It's not always obvious what you're doing when you're out on the trails with a pair of binoculars. It seems so clear to me that of course I'm looking at the birds, but it could really be a particular instance where someone thought that maybe I was looking at them or spying on someone that was out of sight at the moment. And so I really think that it's those moments of awareness when you engage with other individuals and pull them into what you're doing that not only fosters new and revived interest in bird watching and someone who'd never thought of that before, but also helps to explain what you're doing and diffuse any unknown creepiness. Now, just for fun, I wanted to let you guys know what else popped up on the creepiness radar. Now, I should mention that birding came up as the second most creepy hobby behind collecting things. Really collecting things in any spectrum, but specifically collecting insects. This struck me as silly as well because birders are often collecting a list of the birds that they've seen, and so in a way we're sort of hitting the 1 and 2 top spots. But some of the most creepy professions that were suggested included taxidermist, sure, but also garbage man, teacher, security guard, computer software engineer. Not exactly professions that I had personally always associated with being creepy, maybe further along the creep scale than others, but relatively mundane. And I really say that just to show that this study's not perfect. If anything, it should just bring to light a topic that maybe we don't talk about all the time. I've seen that birders tend to really stick with their birding group that understands what they're doing and understands the motives behind it. And that maybe that pigeonholing of ourselves can lead us into falling into some really negative stereotypes. So I would encourage anyone who's out there that next time you're out birding, just have a greater sense of awareness. If there's someone there who's not a birder and they're seeing what you're doing, begin to think about it from their eyes and maybe just say hello. Sound off in the comments if you guys have ever thought that bird watching was creepy, or if someone has come up to you when you're bird watching and asked you what you were doing. If you enjoyed this video at all, please hit that like button and subscribe. I really appreciate it. You can follow us on Instagram at stopandlisten.channel. Thanks, guys.